Sorry, I think my battery died. I had to recharge, so I still kept working on this guy. You can see that I kind of built up the torso area, giving it some bulk. It's actually, I balloon it out a little bit more than it needs to be because it gives me the ability to kind of carve back into it. I'll use my rakes again to kind of get it and shape it to start to build those rib cages out. The shoulder blades in the back and stuff, but I will probably do that in the next video. Right now, I thought maybe I'd start to go in to the head a little bit, see if I can get that camera right in there where you guys can see, where I can start to work out some of these forehead wrinkles, kind of see what I do with my tool. So I'm using this loop tool, one of my favorite tools. You can see it's been repaired a few times, but yeah, you'll see how I kind of go back in there, maybe carve away. I will probably kind of jump from tool to tool here because I'll use, this one has kind of a thicker wire, but I have a couple more that have thinner wires depending on how thin I want to get with these little wrinkles on the forehead. I kind of wiggle my tool around so it's not like just a straight slice into the skin. It's kind of got a little bit of character to the cut, where it's more of an uneven line. Might even switch to a smaller tool here. Sometimes I get to this stage and I'll end up redoing these wrinkles about 2 or 3 times just because I want to make sure that they're just right. The detail stage, I find that sometimes it can get away from me and I end up getting kind of focused on areas and I work on them and work on them, and then when I start to move the tool around the rest of the figure and I start working on other pieces that maybe the detail doesn't quite match up, or I did something I don't really like, and I'll go back and, you know, kind of smooth it all out again and start all over. And right now I even kind of try to figure out what's the best tool for what I'm trying to do, and I will probably end up switching back and forth a few different times. Losing my voice, sorry. Might have been nice to maybe even print out like a close-up of my the head and face, so I could really start getting in there and taking a closer look. You can see a lot of those wrinkles on the head, kind of raise up at the corners or above the eyes, then kind of come back down in the front of the forehead. As I'm doing this, I'm kind of imagining what wrinkles in a person's forehead look like, or even in a animal's flesh, where those wrinkles aren't like sharp cuts right into the skin. They actually have a rounded, more soft edge to them for the most part. I'm hoping my camera's catching this. I kind of look out of the corner of my eye to see if everything's lined up on the screen correctly. I might even pop this guy off, because you can see once it's off, I can just kind of put it wherever I want. And you know how I built up around these eyes. I'll use a tool like this to kind of start going around these eyes and getting a little bit of an indication of eyelids or wrinkles around the eyes. You can see in the sketch that he's got like multiple wrinkles and creases all around the eye. Might even try, I got another tool here, very thin wire tool here. This is another one that I like a lot, and it's kind of been repaired a number of times. You can see I can kind of go in, kind of work out these creases in a circular kind of shape. And I will continue to refine these and clean them up. Some of these first moves are just kind of mapping them out where I want them. And they, once again, shouldn't all be the same. They all shouldn't be the same, made with the same tool, because they get little, it gets redundant. It starts to look like you're just using the same tool to create all the creases, and it just doesn't create an interesting variation in creases. So as you can see, I jumped back to my thicker wire tool. I don't know if you guys can see any of this. I'm looking at the screen on my phone, but you guys can watch these probably on your computer. If they're posted on YouTube, I guess you can watch them on a big screen TV, but hopefully then you can kind of see some of the little detailed stuff I'm doing here. Some creases, you know, just to get variation, once again, some of them will go from one side of the eye to the other. Some of them will not go all the way. I'm just trying to get some realistic wrinkle patterns. You can see I already kind of went in and started building up hints of like structure to the face, that even though this guy is made out of muck and moss and stuff, I still am trying to get a sense that there's some kind of structure underneath his mottled skin. I see this as almost like it's maybe a little bit of like his kind of gross flesh is showing here, but slowly as it goes down, I'll have it kind of almost look like growth or hanging moss. Getting up into the tentacles, I will do a little bit of what I was showing you the other day, where I may start just kind of laying those out. Once again, kind of turning my tool, because I don't want them all to look real regimented and perfect. I want some to be wider at one side and change thickness as it goes across the trunk. And I don't know if, I guess I hadn't shown you where I ended up with these tentacles, but you can see that I kind of built up here and there, cut back in, build up. I tried to get a little bit of like a snake-like undulation and movement to these. So they kind of look like they're kind of, you know, I think I'd mentioned before, just trying to get that idea that these are, you know, squirming on its face. I think that makes it a lot more interesting. You can see nice tucks and pulls here and there in the tentacles. But yeah, I'll sit here and use this kind of rounded loop tool to kind of make sure that these creases are not totally just sliced into the nose, but they actually have some character, some softness to them. Once again, maybe I won't have all of them go the full, all the way from one side of the nose to the other. Use this smaller tool a little bit. There we go. That's why I love this tool. Excuse me. I said I'm trying to position this so I can, so you guys can see what I'm doing. There's even some little areas where I have like stray kind of little bumps and stuff. I might even go in and add one of these where like a little imperfection, almost like a wart. Probably gonna have to go in and kind of fix some of this stuff because it is really hard to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep my head down low so I can at least show you what's happening, but also line this up with my camera. And I also have my optivisors on, so this is magnifying everything that I'm working on just so I can make sure I know what I can see what I'm doing, because the eyes are just not what they used to be. And I blame it on all the detail work that I end up doing all the time. Is like it really starts to get, I think it gets rough on the eyes. Hopefully you guys are seeing all that. You can see I will even do that with, yeah, there we go. Gonna work on the upper brow. Lots of really big, deep ones up here. Once again, I don't want to go straight up and down. I want to kind of have a little bit of character to these cuts and creases. Maybe some that don't go all the way down. Yeah, just, it's all about variety. I think that's just more visually interesting. Looks a little bit more organic and more like something would actually grow. Once I kind of get these all mapped out, so again, I'll go in and just kind of smooth them out, maybe even make some a little bit deeper and stuff. The thing about these loop tools, if every once in a while you got to stop, and you might see me do this on the leg, I'm cleaning off the excess that maybe gets stuck on the tool. This is probably my favorite stage of a sculpture, is the detailing. Sometimes you got to really force yourself to not get into this too soon. You'll see that up in this one part, Yeah, maybe I have to flatten that out a little bit more. I kind of like these areas where the tentacle kind of, ever see like a boa constrictor, how sometimes it has, it's not totally round, it has like kind of flat areas as the muscles kind of wrap around the skeletal system inside of the thing and everything. They just aren't perfectly totally round. You can see like some kind of muscle or understructure, and I'm going to try to get in that, a little bit of that in these tentacles. But I also have some kind of crisscrossing, almost warty detail as it gets up in here, so I will probably cut some of my lines crisscrossing each other just to get a little bit different texture in this area, because variety is the spice of life. Yeah, and these are still a little bit sharp, and I will go back in and kind of round them out a little bit. Yeah, you can see this is starting to take shape. Now, I'm looking at that, and it makes me even want to have some of these ridges in the brow maybe stick out even more. Like they're not all the same height. So I might go in a little bit of material to make one kind of bulge out more than the others. You can see that. Maybe even do this one too. Yeah, once again though, then it kind of looks a little bit more visually interesting. Not like I just laid a tube of clay down there and cut into it, but I actually, a little bit more irregularities in it.